tu tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha.
Welcome everyone to the Lama Live stream event of Lama Tsultrim Allione. My name is Dreamy, connecting with you from Poland, and it truly feels wonderful to do so every Sunday and witness this collective energy of your presence. And it's with great joy that we gather here today to receive teachings from Lama Tsultrim herself, who, after a dedicated period of sharing her teachings in person through retreats across California and offering her guidance in different online programs, is back with us on Lama Live. And if you were one of those fortunate ones who have had the opportunity to receive teachings from Lama in person, or maybe virtually during the most recent Osel Ningti gathering, please feel invited to share that in the chat. Thank you all for being here. And now, on behalf of all of us, I humbly request you, Lamala, to offer your teachings to us today. The space is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dreamila, and welcome everyone. Let's see who's here. Maybe put in where you're tuning in from and your name. Would be nice to know who's here. I see someone from Greece, Germany. Oregon, Rhode Island. Oh, Michelle. Seen you for a long time. So while that's coming in, I wanted to tell you that I will be here again next week, but with the author Annie Lamont, really amazing writer. And then I'll be traveling, and I'm really excited to be going to Europe. I'll be teaching in Germany and Switzerland and Italy. And so Dream is going to put the links in those for those retreats into the chat. And also on the way there, I'm going to stop in Boone, North Carolina. I wonder if it's named for Daniel Boone. Anyway, I'm going to be doing 3 or 4 days with the Friends of Ramdas, Raghu and Krishnadas. Nina Rao will be there, and East Forest, who's an amazing DJ who worked with Ramdas. So that retreat in Boone, I'm not sure if it's full or not, but I'll be there from the 23rd to the 27th of August, and then going to London for a week just to rest, basically, and then to Germany. So I look forward to meeting up with some of you there. And it was great to see everybody in California, Northern California, when I was there. And then we just had a big Osel Ningtik online retreat with people from all over the world and people in the land. And there were the most amazing rainbows at the end of it. I don't know if you can put those in the chat, Dreamy, but they're really extraordinary. So Switzerland. I'll see you there, maybe, Gudrun. Oh yeah, here come the retreats. Anyway, let's take a moment to raise bodhicitta. That is the intention to share this time together for the benefit of all beings. It's always really important to generate your intention for whatever you do, because your intention will affect the results. If you have a wide, vast intention, like to benefit all beings, then the effect of your activity will also be wide and vast. So let's make that vast intention to be together for all beings. Thank you. I think since I've actually been here in person, we've also launched our podcast called Wisdom Rising that has some excerpts of some of these Lama Lives and other things on it. There's been a lot of interest in the podcast. And so that's another way to tune in. It's on all the usual podcast platforms. It's called Wisdom Rising with Lama Tsultrim Allione. So what I'd like to do today is to continue the teachings on the 7-day lineage teachers that I began last winter and do another one of them. There's 21 of them, and I've done a few of them. Essentially, what this is a list of the 21 lineage holders from Oddiyana who preceded the 7-day lineage, which is a Dzogchen lineage, going from Oddiyana to Tibet. So who was in that lineage? That's what it consists of. But each one of those people is named, and then they say what they understood from the teacher that went before them, and then they give their essence teaching. So these really beautiful little pith instructions that I have been working with, based on the book of Adriano Clemente, translated by Adriano, called The Supreme Source. And then he kindly sent me the Tibetan. So I've been looking at the Tibetan myself and seeing my understanding of it from that. So instead of doing a meditation and then a talk, I thought I would just talk and then we would meditate, sort of interspersed with these teachings. Yes, I see somebody saying, please pray for Maui. I know, that's been really, really so in my mind and my heart. I've been to Maui many times. The last time, actually, to teach with Ram Dass, who lived on Maui, and then before that, I went to see him again another time. So that was in 2016 and 2018. I was there. It's really been so shocking how fast this happened to people and how completely gone that town is. Like, it's just like, usually with a fire it sort of skips around, but in that town it just wiped out everything. It did skip around in the hills. I know of some people that lost their houses also up in the hills. So let's just have a moment before we begin for those deceased in Maui. all the beings. Of course, it's not just human beings, so many animals and birds and snakes, and although they don't really have much snakes in Hawaii, but all the animals and humans, birds, and Gaia herself, the body of Gaia. The earth. So let's send out our collective prayers for all the inhabitants of Maui and all those who did escape but are traumatized and lost so much, and the impact on the whole ecosystem there, and the people that died. Send them white light from our hearts, and imagine that that light is passing through their mind bodies that are now in the bardo and purifying them from any karmic traces that remain, so they gradually become free, liberated, and also all the beings in the sea who are affected by the pollution, by the burning of those plastic boats in the ocean. And see everyone liberated, cleared of any trauma, and beginning the hard work of rebuilding. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And prayers for Maui, and maybe, Dreama, you could post some links to places where people could give. I've seen links for like the Humane Society, also people that are cooking meals for everyone, all the survivors who are homeless now, and other kinds of benefits that we could give to if we want to do something like that. So, how is everybody? How are you all doing today? I'm wondering, the earth is really on fire. It's literally on fire. Maui is just one of the places. So much in Europe, in the United States, all over. The heat in July has just been crazy. So let's send some energy to Gaia, to Mother Earth. Praying for her to find balance. Praying for human beings to stop doing what they do that causes harm for her. And to see the elements coming back into balance. Thank you. And thank you, Dreama, for all these links. That's really great. So, somebody's at Omega Institute. Jian, I know you. So yes, the one that I chose to do today is Atsantra Aloke, and I have a daughter named Aloka. So this is a male, Atsantra Aloke, and he's the 10th in the lineage, following Princess Kumadevi, who I have a special connection with because of my connection with Churjal Namkenor Rinpoche, who had an amazing connection with Kumadevi, where he dreamt of her often, and she taught him a series of extraordinary contemplative dances that are done on a mandala. Actually, the last one, that's the Dance of the 12 Ahs, doesn't need a mandala. It's just all done in a small area, but the rest are done on a painted mandala. And Kumadevi appeared to him starting in the early 90s and transmitting these dances that are very precise and very extraordinary and very connected to the Dzogchen lineage. And she transmitted from Oddiyana. Of course, we think of Oddiyana as a sort of mythical place that doesn't exist anymore. But when he had the dreams, he was in a place where she appeared, and he said, "Where am I?" And she said, she laughed at first, and she said, "Don't you know?" And he said, "No." And she said, "Oddiyana, Urjin, Tibetan." Oddiyana is really fascinating. Always been really fascinating for me, particularly because of my interest in women and women teachers from the past. And Oddiyana was actually called the land of the Dakinis because there were so many women teachers there. Very strong presence of the enlightened feminine, and Kumadevi was one of them. And for example, when we sing the 7-line prayer of Guru Rinpoche, we say Kordu Khandro Mampo Kor, and that means surrounded by Dakinis. And the first line is Urjin Yulki Nuchap Sang. Urjin Yul is the place or the country of Oddiyana. And so Guru Rinpoche, who brought Buddhism to Tibet, actually came from Oddiyana, surrounded by Dakinis. And I think often when people sing this, they think that these Dakinis were his consorts, kind of like his girlfriends in Oddiyana. But as I've learned more about Oddiyana, it's likely this Kordu Khandro, these were his women teachers there who supported him. Of course, he may have also had consorts there, but there were many women teachers in Oddiyana. And so this Aloke, his teacher was Kumadevi, who was a princess of Oddiyana and also lineage holder in this Semde lineage, which is short for Changchup Semde, Changchup meaning enlightenment. It's also the word that's used for bodhicitta. And then day is series. And so the 21 lineage holders in Semde are in this series, and these little pith instructions from each of them. So this is the 10th, and his name again is Atsantra Aloke. So Atsantra Aloke was the son of Rishi Paratsa and Shonu Deje. Those were his parents. he had a deep knowledge of the teachings based on cause and effect. So that was his specialty, cause and effect. Aspiring ardently after the essential meaning. And so that's the Ningpo Dun. The Ningpo is the heart or essence. And then the Dun is a meaning, or it can also mean benefit, based on cause and effect. So he aspired to receive the essential meaning, and so he asked Princess Komadevi for the essence of the teachings, and she summarized them like this. So, what you'll note in these is that they're all connected to giving up efforting. So first is wanting levels of realization. So that's sa, or in Sanskrit, bhumis. There's 10 bhumis, or in some cases 13 bhumis. They're levels of realization. So wanting those levels of realization and liberation, namtar, which means complete liberation. And it's also the word that's used for the biographies of great teachers. They're called namtars, but the meaning of it is liberation. So wanting the levels of realization and liberation postpones and delays enlightenment itself. So the very wanting of that causes delay. So let's sit with that for a moment, because you're probably all here because you want enlightenment. You are, yeah, I mean, don't we all? But this is saying that's a problem. That actually causes delay. So let's release that wanting enlightenment. Wanting levels of realization and liberation. And release that. Let that go. As you let that go, it's not that you just get distracted and let your mind wander. As you let go, you notice that underneath that striving, there's something there. There's a natural awakeness, natural clarity. And it's vast, spacious. So keep releasing. Releasing striving. And see what's present under that. Yeah. Maybe write in the chat what you experienced doing that. I'll look at it. Yeah. So that's the first thing that Kumadevi is now talking to him, to Atsantra Aloke. The next thing she says is, wanting to attain bliss is a great suffering in itself. Wanting to attain bliss is a great suffering in itself. When I was recently teaching the longevity practice in Northern California in Berkeley, I spoke about the generation of bliss and the 4 levels of bliss. And for some people that was really hard because then they maybe weren't experiencing bliss and they felt they should be experiencing bliss. And so they had suffering because of not having bliss. So that very wanting the bliss causes it to not happen and actually causes suffering. Let's see people's experience. Brightness, peace, openness, crystal clear, mountain lake. That's beautiful. Possibility of peace, layers. Yeah, that's interesting. Ease, Galena. So let's try this one, the release of wanting bliss or even happiness. Spend a lot of time wanting happiness. What if we let that go and realize that that itself is suffering? And even if bliss naturally arises when you release the seeking of bliss or happiness, don't fixate on that. Don't fixate on that bliss. Just let it be and keep relaxing, keep releasing. Really a process of a release of expectations. I heard recently that somebody was in therapy, a friend of mine, and her therapist said to her, wherever you find suffering, you find expectations. So let's release all the expectations of bliss, happiness. And then if bliss and happiness naturally arise, release that too. Thank you. I can really feel your meditation. It's very strong, very, I don't know what the word is, but it's a field that we are creating that is powerful. So amazing. I mean, we can't see each other. We just see names and little few words popping up, but we are creating something, or we are noticing something, really. Because with this kind of meditation, you're not creating anything. You're stopping creating and then allowing what's already present to arise. And let me know in the chat what you experience with letting go of seeking bliss. Somebody said gold, relief, vast, yeah. Contentment. Yeah. Shaking and trembling as if looking into an abyss but not feeling scared. That's interesting. Freedom. Yeah. I'll read the line again. Wanting to attain bliss is a great suffering in itself. That's funny, isn't it? That's ironic. Inner sun, that's beautiful. Vastness, open heart. Yeah. And then the next one, wanting to attain the state of no conceptual thought is itself another thought. So this is kind of like the golden cage. We have these spiritual aspirations for non-thought, for bliss, for enlightenment, and they become obstacles. So let's try this one. Relaxing. Relaxing the desire to be in a state of non-thought. Releasing the desire to go beyond conceptual mind, which is a concept in itself. Drop that, relax that. And when you relax it, notice what's present. Just keep releasing the thought to go beyond thoughts. Release that. And you can notice the sensations in your body or your experience without conceptualizing it. And as you conceptualize it, you let that go. There's nothing to visualize, nothing to think about, nothing to meditate on. When you drop all that with your awareness, look at awareness. Yes. How is that? Pure potential. Yeah. What is the page I'm referring to? Yes, I'll give you the page. Page 40 in the Supreme Source. So I'll read the ones so far. Wanting levels of realization and liberation postpones and delays enlightenment itself. Wanting to attain bliss is a great suffering in itself. Wanting to attain the state of no conceptual thought is another thought. Do you feel the relaxation in your body and mind that occurs when you release wanting liberation, wanting bliss, wanting no thoughts? Do you feel that realization of open presence? It really exists in that field of non-effort. One of the tricky things about this kind of meditation is the teaching on non-effort, not efforting. Because you don't want to be trying not to effort. That's tricky. But when you can just release it, kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had a bird come in your house and then you have to catch it and then you have it in your hands and then you take it outside and you open your hands and it just goes. You don't have to throw it. You don't have to cut something. It just goes as soon as you open your hand. It's the most amazing feeling too, because to free a bird who's been caught in a house is so wonderful to be able to help them be free. So now we release our own minds like that. Just open a hand, let it go. Yeah. So then the next one, he says, or she says, Kumadevi now is speaking, if you understand this, you won't search for anything. If you understand this, you won't search for anything. That's really profound and difficult because we talk about our path and, we talk about seeking enlightenment. Searching is a big part of our path. It's that feeling of like wanting to find it, wanting to find liberation. And our efforts, sometimes strong efforts, like doing 100,000 prostrations or 100,000 recitations of the Vajrasattva mantra. We make a lot of effort. And then suddenly we're being told that efforting itself is a block, is an obstacle. And that can be challenging, especially connected to our spiritual path, because our path is so based on aspirations. We actually try to cultivate them, try to cultivate effort. But this is Dzogchen. This is a different kind of teaching. And this teaching largely came out of Oddiyana and then spread into Tibet. Came out of this area we think was in northeast Pakistan, in the Swat Valley, now a very dangerous place to go, but where they found stupas and evidence of Buddhist culture. But what I was saying about Rinpoche, about Chogyal Namkhe Norbu and Oddiyana, was that even though Oddiyana isn't on the earth anymore, it's in another dimension. And there's beings that are there who are teaching and living and practicing. And Rinpoche went there. And that's where he learned the dances. So the whole idea that there could be dimensions that we don't see with our eyes as human beings, it might be hard to swallow. But when you think about now, there's really a whole dimension that we're creating online. And you're all actually there, and I'm actually there. But I can't see it in my room if I'm looking around. I don't see this internet coming here, and yet it's here. I know it's here because I'm getting messages from you. Yeah. So, Oddiyana in Tibetan, Urjin, where these teachings came from. I'll read the whole thing now. Wanting levels of realization and liberation postpones and delays enlightenment itself. Wanting to attain bliss is a great suffering in itself. Wanting to attain the state of no conceptual thought is another thought. If you understand this, you won't search for anything. So this is what Kumadevi said to Atsantra Aloke. And he understood the meaning of the primordial state, and he responded. So these beings are together, and he's received this transmission from her, and now he's going to say his understanding. He says, I am Atsantra Aloke. And then he says, having mastered the method of cutting, I cut the birth continuum. Having mastered the method of cutting, I cut the birth continuum. So that means that he's understood how to cut through the compulsive generation of births that we are all subject to. He's figured out how to cut that. And he's free of birth. So let's feel that for a moment. Cutting, and then no more generation of births. And it can be a whole lifetime we're talking about with birth, but also our moment-to-moment birth. I've been looking at the Sahaja songs of Saraha, and he uses the word unborn so many times, even more than Sahaja. This word unborn, because the unborn is the primordial state. My son. I just taught with him. Now he's going to Costa Rica today. So I was talking about unborn, and actually he, my son Tugosa, gave a really interesting talk just about the word unborn. And I've been thinking about it a lot. Unborn. I think there's a Zen koan, what was your face before you were born? Something like that, or knowing my original face before I was born. So that's what this is talking about. And then the next line he says, having mastered the method of joining, I have cleared away the extreme of cessation. Okay, so if you master the method of cutting, you could go into the extreme of cessation. Just stop, cut it, cut. So joining can mean a lot of things. It's the same word as integration. Practices of integration, where you integrate with water, or you integrate with air or fire, where you meditate with those elements in a way that there's no journey between yourself and the element. You're one with it. Jor is also used for joining in sexual practice, where with your partner you enter a state of non-duality. That's Jor. And so with this practice of Jor, of joining, you're embracing something, you're going towards something, you're not cutting. And so in that, you cut through the extreme of cessation. And cessation is the same word as the word for nirvana, cessation of suffering. But that itself can become a fixation. And so with joining, with integration, we overcome that nihilistic tendency. Let's feel that for a moment. Join with your world, whatever you're looking at, hearing. So there's no separation. There's no need to destroy it. You can integrate with it. Having perfectly mastered the enlightened activities, I have realized the absence of deliberate activity. So deliberate activity has to do with our efforts. And usually we are making effort to accomplish enlightened activities. And so when we let that go, let that deliberateness, that trying go, that's when we master enlightened activity. So it's in the flow, not the force, the flow. Let's feel that for a moment. Activity in the flow. No stress, no trying. Hmm. Having perfectly mastered the siddhis, the powers, relative and absolute powers, I no longer depend on others. So having those powers, relative and absolute powers, I don't depend on others. I don't need other. Free from other. And then the last line, having perfectly mastered the method of meditation, I stay in uncontrived continuity. I love that, uncontrived continuity. So it's continuity of awareness, but without contrivance, without efforting. I'll read the whole response of Atsantra Aloke. Having mastered the method of cutting, I cut the birth continuum. Having mastered the method of joining, I have cleared away the extreme of cessation. Having perfectly manifest the enlightened activities, I have realized the absence of deliberate activity. Having perfectly mastered the siddhis, I no longer depend on others. Having perfectly mastered the method of meditation, I stay in uncontrived continuity. So may you all remain in uncontrived continuity and meditate on this profound meaning of giving up even the effort toward enlightenment. But that doesn't mean distraction. It means fuller presence. And may we receive the blessings of this lineage from Oddiyana. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lama Tsultrim, for your time, dedication, and unwavering commitment to nurturing the connection with the Sangha. It means a lot to be able to receive such profound guidance through this program. Your presence is a gift. Thank you so much. And a big thank you to you, our audience, for our collective meditation, contemplation, for sharing your experience so openly. May the teachings you've received today continue to inspire you on your path. I'm very excited to announce and remind you, because Lama has already mentioned that on our next Lama Live in the company of Lama Tsultrim, we will be joined by Anne Lamott, a best-selling American novelist and nonfiction writer and activist. So please mark your calendars and join us live, if you can, in a week, August 20th, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And now, following the tradition going all the way back to the time of the Buddha 2,600 years ago, you have the opportunity to make an offering of dana to Lama Tsultrim. Dana is a Pali and Sanskrit word that means generosity, and Dana directly recognizes the precious gift of the teacher and the teachings, without which one could not practice the Dharma. If you would like to offer Dana, please follow the link you will see in the chat in a moment. Thank you so much, everyone. May we meet again and again on the path, and may all beings benefit everywhere.
Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu